let us suppose it might be a hypothetical situation, but if you had to invite five legends, they are alive or dead, I don't know. It's your call. So, which five legends would you invite? Okay, let's keep the condition that they are not there in this world.
Okay.
Mhm.
They're not in this world.
Yeah, or not alive. Mhm.
How about if we talk about somebody who's alive?
You can, it's your call. We could have
Yeah.
had one more question on that, but no problem. You can do that.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Because I have to go back and think about all those people who are probably no more. But when it comes to people, alive, then you have
Mhm.
people's name, on your fingertip. I would certainly like to invite, Sachin Tendulkar. I'm a very big fan of
Yeah,
him.
this makes it
Yeah,
two.
and then
Yeah.
okay, so I have never seen a player like him because cricket is something that we probably closely follow, right?
Mm.
There are so many other players in the world. They're renowned and
Yeah.
recognized. But since we have grown watching cricket like anything, so the only one that comes to my mind is Sachin Tendulkar. But look at his personality, right? So it's so distant. I've never seen him on any kind of controversies, believe me.
Yeah.
And he's a clean and sharp and very, very well focused on what he was doing and what he wanted to
Actually.
do. So
Mm.
the number one is Sachin Tendulkar, and second one that comes to my mind, if I talk about the legend, would be MF Hussain, because he's the kind of
Mm.
I can I can certainly relate. He's probably no more, right? I believe. So
He's no
that
more.
answers
Mm.
that answers
Yeah.
your question.
Fulfills my request.
Okay. Okay, so I think the paintings and that we come across today,
Mm.
looks like it might be at a certain point in time. I'm not able to understand what he wanted to say, what he wanted to portray through his paintings. But at a certain
Yeah.
point in time, it looks something
Mm.
awesome when you come to know that, okay, this is what his painting says. So
Okay.
that's the number two. And number three is, say, a great orator, I would say, which is
Yeah.
Harsha Bhogle, right? He speaks
Oh
like
wow.
anything, and
We have
yeah,
so much in
and
common, I must say. I love that guy. I think
uh,
he's probably the only person in India who does not make any grammar mistakes, by the way. I have heard
uh,
Shashi Tharoor making mistakes in grammar, but not him.
ah, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I was going through his one of his videos when he
Okay.
used to be a kind of RJ probably, or when he started his
Hmm.
career with
Yeah, yeah.
All India Radio.
Yes,
And
he did.
he looked different when he started his career.
I
But
know.
now, with the time, I mean, he's grown to a level where everybody likes and loves,
Mm.
listening to him. So that's
Yeah.
awesome when he speaks, and that's completely flawless. So I
Yeah.
really admire his ability and everything. So that's the number
Yeah.
three. And
Mm-hmm.
number four, uh, nobody's coming from politics, I believe. Certainly, I mean, if I
Yeah.
have to, count someone, then probably it'll be
Yeah.
uh, Mahatma Gandhi, I believe. I've
Okay.
heard a lot, I've read a lot, but there are so many things that are still needed to be explored. Oh, what
He's
is
too
that?
relevant here. Yeah. It's a book from Mahatma Gandhi. The experiments with truth. I really like this
Experiment
guy. I'm
with
really
truth.
sorry I'm cutting you in between, but
Yeah,
I think Gandhi ji will always be relevant in this world. And sometimes his principles are said to be irrelevant, but I think the way you decode them, that matters more than anything. I think this one should
exactly.
be a course book. This one should be a course book as soon as possible. Because see, look at the humbleness of that person. He never said my truths. He could have titled it as my truths, right?
Yeah.
I think by far he's the most trustworthy or truthful guy that we have seen in India. I should not say guy, I'm so bad at it. Yeah. I think he should be called the most truthful person in the country. Still, he did not say my truths. He said my experiments with truths. It means
Right.
even he thinks that the most truthful person cannot be truthful every time. And there are some great chapters on him. Have you gone through this book, by the way, anytime?
Yes, yes, but
Oh,
not. I haven't read the entire book,
oh,
but
okay.
yeah, and even I
You
don't
have
even
missed out on
remember,
something then.
the
Yeah, it's a
crux
good
of the
book.
book.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. So, so while was amazed, like, everything looks like we have a lot of things in common, right? And then
I
all
do.
of a sudden you picked up and showed the book,
I know.
my
Yeah.
experiments with truth. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, how come this? So
Yeah.
certainly Mahatma Gandhi would be my probably the fourth one,
Fourth person. Okay.
and and uh, and
Hmm.
probably I could call anybody, say who is very closer and nearer to me. So yeah.
It has to be a celebrity, so I don't think that counts. Talk
Okay, it
about a
has to be a
celebrity. Yeah.
celebrity. Yeah, you
Yeah.
mentioned
Celebrity.
legend, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Legend. Known
Okay.
people. Hmm.
So let's pick somebody from the film industry then.
Oh,
Then, okay. So I
this
would
speaks
like.
volumes of the priority that you give to these people. I think that's also in
uh,
common.
so let's invite Amitabh Bachchan then. So yeah.
Good, good pick.
So all
Okay.
in all, these are the people from my list.
This would be an interesting night, I must say. I would have enjoyed coming to that dinner. I'm not a legend, but I think I can cook food. So maybe I'll
Oh,
just find
oh,
my
okay,
place.
okay.
Sorry.
What do you do, by the way? You mentioned that you're taking classes on Clapingo, and then most of the times,
Yeah.
right? And then you
Yeah.
probably even
I
train
have my
people
own
as
business
well.
actually. Yeah, I have my own business. I started my company actually some time ago, and before that also I was working in the same field, training people in companies, colleges, and schools. So I'm more of a soft skill personality development trainer, you can say. Sometimes I do
Awesome.
a bit of motivational speaking, which I don't believe in, but yeah, money matters. So sometimes you have to do
That's
that
great.
stuff also. Yeah, yeah. Like actors, they never do all the movies which are for money, but sometimes they have to do some movies which are just
Right.
purely for money. So that's a part. But mostly what I like to do is training people in person, one on one. So I think that platform I got from Clapingo. The money is also good. I'm not lying about it. But the thing that I earn from here is these interactions. Because I'm currently working on a couple of books. One of them is based on these interactions that I have with people, and the other one is a real life
Mhm.
story. So these will come out, I think, maybe by 2025. I'm a very indisciplined writer. So let's see how does it turn out to be. Yeah.
Okay. Wish you good luck for that.
Thank you, thank you. And I want you to be a reader of it, right?
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else that's coming to your mind that you'd like to share?
Uh, okay, so I would certainly like to know more about how you train people and what sort of things that you
Okay.
probably
Yeah.
consider while you train, and what are the areas of improvement and focus. Yeah, the
Hmm.
area that you probably think that people should work on in order to make the communication better.
I think I'll specify it based on your performance today. I think that will serve as a good feedback as well, and also you'll get to know
Okay.
what things I point out. I think when you talk about public speaking skills, I'm just purely talking about public speaking skills and communication skills. There are
Mhm.
three sides to it which I always measure. These are the three parameters. One of them is obviously content. I think people are least bothered about content nowadays. They don't read. They don't express themselves. For example, the way that I read a book is if I've taken this book, or maybe this one, I like this one as well, The Kite Runner. So if I'm reading these books, I should probably maintain a register with it, right? Write a notebook with it so that I can write down any line that I found to be really good. Like I recently read this book from Sadhguru. I'm not a big fan of that person, but still, someone recommended, and for the first time, I bought a book because of the cover of the book. So I judged it by its cover, and
Mhm.
that was Life and Death in One Breath. That was the title actually. I judged the book with its title, and that was fascinating. Life and Death in One Breath. Who would not want to read such a book? So I went for that book, and I really liked it. One of the lines that was written was "World class lies out of comfort zone." So because that line struck me like anything, and I thought, yeah, I have to write something about it. So I wrote 5 pages that night on that particular line, and I really loved
Mhm.
it. Loved that line. I don't expect people to write 5 pages on a particular line. I think that's fanatic, right? Not every
Yeah.
time people would want to do that,
Yeah.
but still,
Absolutely.
they can write maybe 4 or 5 lines, not more than that, right? Maybe just create a bookmark. What happens is we read great content, but as I read in one of the books, the first line of the book was, "An idea unrecorded is an idea lost." So if you don't record that idea, if you don't create a thought in your mind at that particular point, you're going to forget it as soon as possible. What's the point of reading it if that's not enhancing your skills? If you are purely reading for enhancing your skills, right? So creating a bookmark while reading, while developing content, you should know what's the right process of uh, creating thoughts and developing thoughts, thought development, right? So that's one thing that I focus on. Secondly, the second part is obviously confidence, right? That comes from inside. People think that just wearing good
I
clothes
would
or
love to stop you here. I'm really,
please,
that's something I
sure,
always wanted to hear from someone like you. That,
please,
when
please,
I read things, it goes like
please.
anything. And I'm not
Yeah.
able to register all of those because
Mm,
I've also a habit of reading books, right? But the only thing
mm,
is that since I'm not, I would say, voracious eater,
mhm.
as you sounded,
No, no.
I go through the books, and all of a sudden, since it is not into my consistency, right? I don't
Mm,
read every day. I'm not able to get all those books and take our time and read all the books, which I
mm.
always love to. But the thing is that
Yeah.
since there is a gap, right? So the things that I've left already are not registered in my mind for a longer period of time.
Mm,
So I
mm,
really wanted to know how to do that and keep it for a longer
mhm,
period of time. And whenever you wanted, you can refer all those things and then come
mhm.
out with your thoughts and all of that.
Yeah.
How do you think one should work on this?
I'll tell you that. I think we have limited time, so I'll just give a precise answer. So I can tell you, see, how do I remember words? How do I remember what I read? It's the approach. As I said, always make a notebook. So for example, if I am reading this book, right, so
Hmm.
I would name it as, maybe if it is the fifth book of the month or fifth book of the year, so I would name it as number five. Okay. And then I would prepare a notebook based on this number five, and that would also be titled as five, right? And then all the chapters would be titled as 5.1, 5.2, 5.3. And in all the chapters, whatever lines I found fascinating, I would just write them and then create a thought about it. I would write 3 4 lines about it so that it can get registered. Once you do it and you use it twice or thrice, then you would see that difference. Then you would see that difference happening. Then you would see that these things come naturally to you. Now I don't have to put in a lot of effort to find out, okay, which line was the best line that I read. I think there's no best line in the world. There are many lines which hit you sometimes, like the line that I just discussed hit me very nicely, but maybe it does not hit you anything, right? It means it is dependent upon the life that we are living, or the point at which we are living in our life. That's that. Secondly, when you go for a book, I think it's important to understand your favorite genre. I have been reading when I was, what, I think I was 7 years old. Then I started reading, and I developed a hobby or a duty. I took it as a duty also because family was like that. So now when I go for reading, I always get this thing in mind that whenever I'm reading something, I have to read it with some responsibility, right? So giving some amount of respect to the author, and that happens when I don't read as a target. I've seen many people. I think this approach that you just said, that I can't be